Oh gee, I'm gonna have to talk about this now, aren't I? Yeah, this isn't a video I wanted to fucking do, but I have to. Believe it or not, I actually don't like talking about drama. Even if it is the most popular thing I've done, I don't like doing it. I want to do fun things. I want to talk about fun stuff. I wanted to talk about the terrible Disney Diary of a Wimpy Kid reboot. I wanted to talk about the 2 worst Care Bears movies I've ever seen. I wanted to talk about the origin of Virgo. I wanted to talk about Redo of Healer. I wanted to talk about an episode of South Park I liked. I wanted to talk about the Subaraya vs. Child lawsuit. I wanted to talk about the Sky Hour of Darkness in depth. I wanted to review every single game in Clubhouse Games. I even wanted to kick the at the time New Year by making a video that is nothing but Virgo. I am sure at least one of those ideas piqued your interest. But we can't do those ideas. We can't do fun things like talk about gaming, tokusatsu, movies, cartoons, and shit like that. Wanna know why? Because people like Fry and the others mentioned continue to hold grudges. Now you may be thinking, why can't we just do fun stuff first and then do drama stuff? Well, wanna know what happens? One person will say one thing about me that is either a blatant lie or a massive fabrication of the truth. Then that person will tell another person, and then shit like this happens. It's the world's largest and worst game of telephone. And guess what? None of these people ask for my input. They don't talk to me, they just take everyone's word for it. And this document is the result of said game of telephone. So today we have to tear into this document, and I shall provide actual context. Let's get into it. TW, pedophilia, racism, LGBT phobia, toxic behavior, and CP. Don't child porn and pedophilia fall in the same category? But we'll get to that when we can. Preface. Carmen Ryder is a small commentary channel known for making rant videos. Her content is mixed in terms of reviews, but many of her fans consider her to be the rise of a new wave of commentators to bash the so-called libtards or leftists. Something that I myself have not really said, but okay. This has no reason to be here. I do videos on people I disagree with. Just a lot of them happen to be leftists. Unknown to most people, she has a dark side. So in this document, it'll detail who she really is, both on YouTube and off YouTube. Prerequisites. And he just lists a bunch of people. I'm not sure why he mentioned Everlast, but okay. Oh, and Disso is Fry. I was gonna make my own video on him, but I guess I'll have to squeeze most of it in here. Toxicity. Toxicity subsection 1A. The Kai Weiss drama. Yep. These motherfuckers really be defending Kai. You know, the Kai who beat his girlfriend. Let's start with a very popular example that almost everyone knows. Carmen Ryder making fun of Kai Weiss for wanting to end his life. I was not making fun of him, I was pointing at the fucking irony. And considering what kind of piece of shit Kai was, chances are I was right. Now, just to be clear, I do not want Kai killing himself. Not for his sake. Fuck him. But if he kills himself, he's escaping potential consequences. That consequence being jail. Now, of course, Kai Weiss is known as a monster, but that still doesn't excuse what she's done. I mean, it kinda shows who you should really be hating in this situation. There are 2 known incidents of this happening. One's on Jar's Discord server, and the other on Twitter. Unfortunately, I cannot find a response with Kai Weiss due to him nuking his channel. However, a video responding to the incident by Definitely Bored Oranges will be linked. Oh, don't worry, we'll talk about Oranges when we get to it. And we'll talk about his friend, too. Anyways, let's get into the Oranges video. Except not really, because when I was writing the script, Orange's credit was deleted. It's almost as if they knew this video sucked and didn't want to talk about it. And holy shit, while I was working on this script, apparently Orange just gave his reason for his video being removed. Turns out, he has Fry blocked for being weird. Essentially, Fry was trying to spread lies to him. This shows that not only is Fry going around telling lies to me, but even oranges. A guy who very much does not like me disagreed with Fry regarding the stuff related to the document. Also, they added a disclaimer to one part of the previous section saying that not all my fans were like this. And you'll see why he did that in a moment. As for the YouTuber, DissoMix, formerly known as Fry Films, he has a lot of experiences with Carmen, even witnessing some of the actions her and her fans have committed. Now, I'm not going to go over the video attached today, as I want to get this out as soon as possible, in hopes to cut the wires of this game of telephone early. Plus, I was in the middle of a video beforehand. Anyways, you can probably already see why I mentioned that disclaimer already, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's continue. For a more recent example of Carmen's behavior towards Disso, here was a group chat that was solely created by Edge in order to get Disso and Carmen to understand each other's views. Yeah, I have nothing to say to Fry. He legit called me a pedophile to other people when he knows damn well I'm not. I've told him and many others that I am not attracted to real children. But whatever. It's not like Fry is friends with a self-admitted pedophile himself. Oh wait! This is Mystic Mongrel, a friend of Fry. As you can see right here, she's admitting to having thoughts about grooming. But no, apparently I'm the pedophile because I commit crimes against polygons on a screen. Now you might be saying, well, those are just thoughts. Lolly and Shota Art exists on the internet for real. Yeah, and Mongrel does the same shit. As she sent Lolly hentai to one of my server members, Call Me Nil. So why is it okay for Mongrel to like lollies, but not okay for me? Why does Mongrel get away with wanting to groom kids, but I'm not allowed to be attracted to May from Pokemon? This proves that Fry doesn't think I'm a pedophile. He just wants to hurt me because he doesn't like me. Now, before you call me out for leaking DMs, Mongrel did the same thing to me. But we will get there when we do. Then he shows some screenshots of the GC in question. This doesn't prove anything other than me being mean to him. I didn't want to be in the GC to begin with. You might be asking, why not just say no? Well, Edge likes to do this thing called saying please over and over until he gets what he wants. For some reason, he wanted me to get along with Fry. Yeah, Edge, that ship has since sailed for the both of us. Anyways, Fry wasn't trying to understand my views. He was urging me to see mental health help since I got Drake Belled as a kid. And I have been seeing help. Not specifically for being Creeps McPasta'd, but rather just for everything. But I must ask, Fry, where is your help? Because I don't see you getting any help for your depression. Or that time you were traumatized by that kid who cut themselves. But we'll get to that later. 350 to 610. Carmen defends blackface in an anime due to the country of origin not having enough diversity. Wow, you did not watch the video at all. Here, let me play the clip in question of that video to show you the context. Time to talk about race again, because God forbid that the normies not act like prison mate Luke every other day. Okay, so, one of the things that Your Movie Sucks mentions a couple of times is how the show contains blackface.
I even went through the manga, which supposedly this film is based on the second half of, and yeah, it's not there either. It was mostly just blackface. Now you're probably wondering why it took so long for this show to get an English dub, and it's probably the same reason why the original manga never got an English release. Blackface. Lots and lots of blackface.
Claiming the show gives into racist stereotypes. Is this true? I mean, he shows clips from the show and manga to show these alleged racist stereotypes. So did Leo the Lion and Kimba portray blackface? No. Well, sorta. Let me explain. Back in the days before anime was really a thing in Japan, they would usually just import American cartoons and dub them in Japanese. And what was American media known for having back in the day? Blackface. However, since these cartoons were just imported to Japan, and because Japan is a country that doesn't have that many minorities, the people there, when seeing these characters, assume that's just how you draw black people. There wasn't really anyone there who was black who could point out that it was offensive. Even to this day, Japan isn't as diverse as a place like the US is. As a result, for a good while, black characters in anime were drawn this way. This quirk isn't even limited to Kimba. In the 1960s adaptation of Cyborg 009, 008 is drawn in the same way. Hell, a lot of black characters in early episodes of One Piece were drawn this way. Also, while not technically black and more of the black character who isn't technically black but is obviously black, Oilman from Mega Man. What I'm trying to say is that because Japan wasn't familiar with foreign history as they are now, they didn't know it was offensive. Nowadays, this design quirk isn't as prevalent since people are more aware that it could be seen as offensive, but back then they didn't know. Now tell me, where in that video did I mention that said depictions were okay by today's standards? Don't worry, I'll give you time. I'll save you some time. It didn't happen. Honestly, it sounds like you judged your opinion solely on Fractured Light's video, and nothing else. A video where he too cuts context. Yeah, I'm very much aware of that video's existence, but that's for another day. She introduces a POC character to justify her viewpoints towards creepshow art, a controversial commentator. Okay, firstly, that's not racist. Secondly, Shannon is racist herself. And thirdly, Libra was introduced way before the shit with Shannon happened. She was introduced in the Brittany Venti video. And I know you know this because you were still my friend at the time. How do I know that Fry was still my friend at the time? Because he had helped out on my second Dulu video. As seen here, a video that came out after the Brittany Venti video, and the SM Story animated video. A video that Libra was in the thumbnail of. So to say that Libra was made solely to counter Shannon is a lie, and Fry knows it. Toxicity subsection 1C. LGBT phobia. Ironically enough, despite Carmen being a transgendered woman, she and her fanbase have been expressing LGBT views that are toxic and harmful. For example, using the word too cute, which is a derogatory term towards transgender people who aren't following a gender binary, while also admitting to being a Truscum herself. Firstly, too cute isn't a slur, it's just a general term. I don't know where you got the idea that it is one. Secondly, being a Truscum doesn't mean you're NB-phobic. It just means you don't believe people without gender dysphoria can be trans. I plan on making a video about why I'm a Truscum in the future. Now, of course, I don't hate people simply because they're too cutes. Hell, I don't even misgender them. The only time I misgender people on purpose is if they're an irredeemable human being, like Chris Chan, or if they go my neo-pronouns. And even then, I just default to they, them. Just because you're too cute doesn't mean I'm gonna hate you for existing. Unless you say something on the same level as Hypnotist Sappho or Mr. Girl, I'm not gonna hate you for the things that you say. I only hate people for the things that they do, not the things that they say. My best friend in the whole world, Zircon, is a self-proclaimed SJW, and despite that, I still care about them to this day. Also, ironically enough, they're non-binary as well. Either way, just because we don't see eye to eye doesn't mean I'm gonna hate you. However, with Mystic Mongrel, who is being referred to in the screenshot provided, doesn't seem to agree. Now, prior to the convo with her, me and Komino got into a bit of a squabble and I said some not PC things to him. However, now we've buried the hatchet and we're on neutral terms. Though on that road to hatchet burying, I was contacted by one of Nil's at the time friends, that being Mystic Mongrel. Now, this was before all the thoughts about grooming happened, so I was more open to discussion. After coming to an understanding, I thought maybe we could be friends, since we both like Yu-Gi-Oh! After a while of talking, the conversation shifted towards weird conversations on Discord. So I mentioned this one time this person called me a slur because I was a Truscum. And that's when the High Guardian spice hit the fan. As you can see, I was trying to be nice and diffuse the conversation so it wouldn't turn out bad. But no, she wasn't having that because she doesn't exactly respond well to transphobic ideals. I wanted to be nice and move on, but no. Why move on, agree to disagree, and find a middle ground when getting pissy is so much easier? As a result of being pissy, she shared the screenshots to Nil's server and even her personal Facebook. Huh. This reminds me of something I said to Team Mossboss once. Imagine being so socially bankrupt that you tell your normie coworker friends about your YouTube drama. Hell, even with Fry's response, it looks like he agrees with me. Don't believe me? See for yourself. Again, why is it just me being singled out here? Where does Fry get a pass but not me? Here's the video where Carmen insults a trans person for 16 minutes and berates them for being a triggered SJW, rather than giving them constructive criticism, even using the too cute word over and over throughout the video. When did I say that? I never even used the word SJW in that video. I mean, she was kinda being one, but this doesn't prove shit. It honestly sounds like this part was made just to be a straw man. Other than that, in her server, she expresses some spicy opinions on neopronouns. And this isn't an argument. This is just a statement. I already made my opinion on neopronouns clear in the Mushroom Girl video. He then shows a screenshot from my server, and this still doesn't prove anything. To break away from Carmen a bit, her fans have been doing this shit as well. That's my fans, not me. If a few of my fans do something stupid, that's not my fault. No one can control their fan base. Even going as so far to ask for very private information, such as medical documents / history. By her fans, you mean fucking one. That one being Imperio? I can't control what he does. If you have a problem with Imperio, talk to him. Don't lump his actions up with me. Also, are we just gonna ignore the irony here? How 60% of this document is just private messages that I did not give permission to be shown? For someone who cares about very private information, you sure as hell don't give me the benefit of the doubt. Then he shows screenshots of Imperio asking for medical records. Just for the record, I don't agree with him doing this either. But at the same time, this is not my fault. This isn't even the worst of what Carmen has done. Ah yes, that I specifically did. I used my mind control powers to make Imperio ask for medical records. Carmen Ryder has made fun of a 13-year-old non-binary kid for self-harming. No, I did not, and you know it. Here, let me explain what actually happened. Now, unfortunately, I don't have much, if any, proof of this happening. So if people don't believe me, I understand. But I'm gonna talk about this regardless. While me and Fry were still friends, at one point he had done a 180 on his political spectrum. His reasoning for this was because he got in a debate with some kid, and the kid said if Fry won the debate, they would cut themselves. Now, as someone who used to have issues with self-harm, I had a feeling that this kid was bullshitting. I pointed this out to Fry, and he said that they showed their scars to him. I pointed out if the kid did hurt themselves, then he obviously would have done it regardless of what Fry said. If someone plans to cut themselves, then they're gonna do it regardless unless you fucking pin them down. To me, it seemed like that this was said by the kid just to make Fry feel bad. And it worked. I told Fry this, and he didn't want to believe me. That's where the whole "this won't bring the kid back" meme came from. I was trying to knock some sense into him. Now, Nil wanted me and Fry to talk about it in a GC. We did, and I even told Fry what my intentions were. I will admit, I should have gone about it better, but at the same time, my intentions were never to make fun of a kid who self-harmed. It was supposed to knock some sense into Fry. In fact, Fry shows proof of me saying this. Now, I will admit, I was a bit antagonistic towards him, which I will admit was very wrong of me. But I did not make fun of them for cutting themselves. That is a lie. Watch these videos in their entirety, and this is where you get their creepy behaviors and disturbing opinions. Yeah, go ahead, watch them. Your opinion won't change, trust me. Carmen Ryder also defends Shadman, even though Shadman is a pedophile who draws porn of minors and thirsts over minors. Fry, you got this info from a Turkey Tom video. Last time Turkey Tom did a video about pedophilia was fucking horrible. I'll go over that video sometime in the future. Then he shows a screenshot that Still doesn't prove anything. Subsection: Mushroom Girl Porn. If you didn't know, Carmen's fans... I'm gonna pause right here real quick. If one of your main complaints about me starts with the words, your fans, her fans, Carmen Ryder's fans, or some shit like that, it's not valid. I cannot control my fan base. No one can. Unless I specifically say to my fans, hey, go do X thing. Then what my fans do is not my fault and therefore isn't my problem. Now, we'll continue. Have made porn of Mushroom Girl, another commentator who has been very critical of Carmen Ryder. She was not very critical. She called me a pedophile and accused me of wanting to molest her when I said nothing of the sort. To explain the context, Imperio, a previously mentioned user, commissioned Lun, a 16-year-old artist, to draw a rape art of Mushroom Girl, a minor. Hey, Fry, you forgot to mention the part where Imperio was a minor as well. Also, you forgot to mention the part where I didn't agree with him doing this either. His reasoning as to why he did it was because he wanted to see two cutes like her cry. He then shows a screenshot of what Imperio said about MG, which, again, I do not agree with him doing. But the thing I want to draw your attention to is the person he's talking to. In case you can't tell, it's Call Me Nil. You may ask, why does this matter? Because Call Me Nil is a pedophile hunter. Answer me this. If I was as much as a threat to children that everyone makes me out to be, would I be inviting a person who hunts pedophiles in my server? Because Nil was and is in my server. In fact, me and him are working on a project that I can't really discuss at this time. He then shows a censored version of the drawing posted by Imperio to somewhere, which I'm not going to show because I don't need to, and frankly, no one wants to see that. The aftermath. After, of course, getting backlash by tons of people, I am speaking of Carmen, Imperio gets demoted from the server and gives one of the most non-apology of non-apologies in the history of non-apologies. Actually, this is neither. And you'd know this if you actually read the screenshot. Let me read it for you. Due to bullshit from Imperio and Class Edgelord, I want to remind people not to harass the people I am talking about. Also, a few things. 1. I do not stand by Imperio's rape me comment. He has since been demoted and will be banned if he continues. For the record, he was actually banned for arguing about his demotion. 2. While I do stand by my point of porn of people's OCs, anyone trying to set said porn to a minor will be banned as that is crossing a line. 3. If any of you are still a member of Mushroom Girl's server, please forward this message to her. I asked people to do this because I didn't want her using any of this against me, and if she did, I could prove that she knew this. But no, apparently this is a non-apology. It wasn't a non-apology, nor was it an apology. This wasn't the only time Carmen has done it. Luckily, a lot of stuff has been compiled by a friend of Disso. The video is nothing but a bunch of out-of-context DMs that are from old dramas that have been settled. Funny, because some of this stuff was during my squabble with Nil. And now Fry wants to frame Nil as a pedo as well. He then shows an out-of-context screenshot that was from a private conversation as a way to frame me as a pedo. And oh boy, do I have a great story about this one. Basically, after Mushroom Girl did her responses to me, apparently she wanted to get a DM with me and discuss the topics. I decided to do so because I thought maybe, just maybe, we could see some sort of middle ground. At first, the GC started poorly. I had to play Manzai Birds regarding Edge, knowing that Mushroom Girl would take it out of context. So I just let him see himself out of the GC. So then it was just me and Mushroom Girl. So one of my explanations was that often lolly can be a harmless outfit for people who struggle with pedophilia. And by that I mean people who realize they have a cognitive fuck-up and want to fix that. MG immediately tries to stick that label on me. I knew what she was trying to do. She was trying to get me to admit to pedophilia, to which I won't because I'm not a pedophile. Her logic to why it wasn't a harmless outlet was because it was easier to find the actual CP, it won't get you in much trouble, and lolicons are more accepted in society than people who hurt real children. Which, as you can see, doesn't explain the issue in the slightest. If anything, the first one is kind of a good thing. She just reiterates her point and doesn't explain it in the slightest. I tell her to elaborate, to which she claims it encourages raping children. I point out the obvious by informing her that adults should know that raping children is bad. She tries to claim that children get raped regardless. Yes, because child molesters know what they are doing is wrong, they just don't care. I point out the fact that child molesters fuck kids regardless of lollies involved. She somewhat agrees, but makes the "it's illegal" argument. Just because something is illegal doesn't mean it's immoral. She claims it feeds into pedophiles, which, again, I already countered. She continues to imply that I'm a pedo afterwards, and then I said this. Now you can see that I'm obviously not in the wrong for this. What I was trying to say, that if I was a pedo, then I wouldn't be having a normal conversation with her. Could I have phrased myself better? Yeah, 100%. Probably shouldn't be talking to detractors at 10 p.m. anyways. Though I do have to ask why Mushroom Girl chose to do this at such a late time.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
However, Mushroom Girl didn't care to read between the lines and actually understand what I said, because she claimed that I implied that I would rape her, which is not what I said in the slightest. However, it was at this moment that I knew I had to screenshot everything, or else it would bite me in the ass later. Knowing how Mushroom Girl takes the least charitable interpretation of everything, I knew I had to screenshot the whole convo. And so I did. And thank God I did. So, for a while, the convo continued as normal, as she seemingly brushed it off. Now, viewers, let me ask you a question. If you believe that someone said that they wanted to rape you, would you brush it off and keep talking to them? Because I sure as hell wouldn't. This shows that Mushroom Girl doesn't believe a damn word she's saying, and just needed to catch me saying something that even slightly implies me as a creep, even if it's untrue and out of context. That was the point of this GC she made. Not to find common ground, but to catch me in a moment of saying something retarded, so she could take it and use it against me with Fry to help with it. Now you may be thinking, how is Fry involved in this outside of the document? Well, a day after this conversation, something happened. I noticed that Jar's main server was gone from my server list. Now, a year ago, he said he was considering removing the server due to a raid caused by a rogue mod. I asked him in DMs if he did remove the server. He said no. Now, at this point, I thought, did Jar find out about the conversation I had with MG? Then I asked why I was banned. He told me that someone told one of his mods, Tobytron, that I was a threat to children. Now, at this point, I knew what happened. I asked Jar about it further, to which he provided the screenshot presented in the doc. And given his wording, even Jar himself agreed that this was far-fetched. I told him the context, and I offered to provide screenshots. And so I did. And thus, I was unbanned. How did I know it was Fry? Well, firstly, he's in Jar's server. Secondly, I could tell because he was very active in MG's comments section. And thus I put two and two together and figured that he was in her Discord server. Or at the very least, had contact with her. Keep in mind, the situation with MG never even involved Jar. So why bring him in? Simple. Fry wanted to hurt me. So he fabricated a story to Tobytron, a mod who already doesn't really like me, and got me banned from Jar's server. Unknowing to Fry, Jar has a functioning brain, and thus his little stunt didn't work. And that is where we reach the end of the doc. Other than some links to videos that talk about me that I will either cover eventually or have already covered, that's it. And guess what? This is only the beginning. But don't worry.
I'll be home by Christmas.
So am I. So am I. so am I.